Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Coach Cruise. Anybody that's new to the channel, welcome. And today, typically I like to have a little, more structured topic, but there's just been so much going on that we're just going to kind of go through all the cruises we've been on recently, which is two recently, and then the upcoming cruises. We're going to kind of compare and contrast the Spirit class with the Vista class type ship and what the Venezia is. And then we're going to look on to the XL class, which will be going next. So it's kind of a good little jump from Spirit class to Vista class to XL class. And then I'll be talking about, I have a cruise announcement, added cruise this summer and subtracting a cruise that had originally stated that I was going on. So yeah, I want to see hopefully if any of you out there are able to do any of these cruises, or maybe you're already booked on one, and we'll get to cruise together. So we'll find out about that. All right. So we got Seg. I got Seg up here because he said, hi, Coach, want to be first. And I think this is Seg's first gold medal. I do the gold medal for those of you that don't know, the silver medal, bronze medal. We do Olympic style, and the Olympics are coming up, by the way. Next month, we have the Winter Olympics, so it's really going to be fitting next month. But yeah, I think this is Seg. I think this is Seg's first gold medal. And then he said, I'll take second and third also, but you only get one medal. You can't be on the podium a bunch of times. We got Klesko, who has picked up a few golds, but he got silver today. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope all of you are having a great week. And then our very own Cruising Chris Moss. Happy Tuesday, Coach. Unfortunately, I have to work tonight. I'll try to stop in if I get done early. So hopefully we get to see Cruising Chris Moss before the show's over. And check this out, everybody. Edmund Tim and his lovely wife, Cheryl, are cruising this week. It has been a long time for Edmund Tim and Cheryl. They had a couple cruises booked and then had to cancel, reschedule, cancel. But now they are going on the Carnival Vista. I believe they leave this weekend. I'm not sure if it's Saturday or it's Sunday, but I'm excited, as I told Tim, to live vicariously through them because I know it's been a while. And I know when you haven't been on a cruise in a long time, how anxious you get and excited you get for it upcoming. So the time is almost here. The time is almost here. So Edmund Tim will be cruising, and we're looking forward to that. All right, then we have the Texas Cruiser also here with us. Rick Wade live from the Marina Bar on the Carnival Jubilee. Oh, very cool. All right, so we got somebody cruising right now. I love it. Okay, so I hope you're still with us there, Rick. And let's see who's next on the list. We got Sandy, the Lost Pirate Jenkins, another one of our members, saying hi and happy Tuesday. Hot Tea is here, and Hot Tea and myself, we were just on the Venezia and had a great time. I think so. So good to see Hot Tea once again, and Hot Tea is a member as well. And then we got JB. JB in the house says, hey, folks, and JB and Chris, they own all the slots for the super chat drawing, and it looks like JB is going to own even more of a claim to the super chat. And once we do the drawing, which we're only 60 away from the next super chat drawing, I have a new announcement. We're going to change up the super chat thing for the better. I think most of you will agree. That will be coming up as soon as we do the drawing. Mike Clark is here, and the name got changed back. It's easier this way, Mike. Says, hi, everyone. I'm checking in from the Carnival Mardi Gras. All right, absolutely awesome. And yeah, I remember you saying that, Mike. And that's my next ship. So, keep it in one piece, keep it all together, and let's hear some reviews, what you liked, what you didn't like, and all that good stuff. And there we go. We got JB, as I just mentioned, says, good evening, Coach. Your choice of flavor on the shot. All right. So we got Buffalo Trace. We got Evan Williams. You know what? I don't think I did the Evan Williams single barrel last week. And Evan Williams, doesn't have the best reputation for their general bourbon, but their single barrel is really good. So we're going to do the single barrel. And get this going here. And by the way, look who we got back. Zoe, high five. High five for JB. And what do you say? What do you say to JB? You remember? What do you say? What do you say? What do you say? I think she forgot. She did a little whimper there, but she's been gone a while. She's been out of practice. High five again. What do you say? There you go. She got a thank you out of her. All right. Well, thank you, JB. That's a good one. Oh. And I remember my little quacker. Bottle that back up. And so JB is now also numbers 91 through 105, which means we are only 45 away. Hopefully we get there tonight. We'll do that drawing, and then I'll make another announcement how we're going to change it up, and I think everybody's going to like it. All right, Will G's in the house saying hello to everybody. We got Frankie Floyd, the Emerald Coast Cruiser. Tony Sargent is back. So Frankie, Tony, good to see you both. Brad H., our resident comedian, is here. Maybe we'll get a joke out of him today. Mandy's back once again, another one of our members. Great to see you as always. She is our piano queen patron. She loves the piano bar. Let's see. JB's going to be on the Mardi Gras too, I see. Bones 2142 says, what's up, Coach Cruz? What's up, Bones? I like that name. 38 days till the Magic, and I've been on the Magic plenty. I'll be going on the Magic twice next year, once for New Year's, once for spring break, 2 consecutive cruises on the Magic. I like the Magic a lot. I really do. Carnival Cruise Addicts, we got to get you guys back on the show. We got Liz and Chris. I posted something about your favorite formal attire, and Chris posted them in their tuxedo T-shirts and a funny pose and stuff. So I got a chuckle out of that today. You can go check that out if you'd like. And then not to forget, we have Cruise Live TV here as well. Greg and Michelle, Coach, Happy New Year. Missed you last week. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Well, we're glad you're both back. And as you all know, Carnival Cruise Addicts, Cruise Live TV, they are regulars on the show. We got to get them back on. It's been a few weeks now. We got to get you guys back. Got to get the band back together is what we got to do. All right, let's see here. And you guys are saying hello. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Mary Schaefer says, do you know if Crazy Lobster is still available in Costa Maya? I have not heard otherwise. And yeah, I mean, I know that's a popular spot in Costa Maya. I have not heard otherwise. As a matter of fact, I think I saw somebody post a picture or something from Crazy Lobster not too long ago. So I think everything is well with the Crazy Lobster. Okay. Lots of comments back and forth. Oh, Bones is saying great win in the casino. So, yeah, I just released a video today, and at the end of the video, I shared some casino jackpots, not to give it away, but I will tell you, on 2 of my jackpots, I was 1 or 2 squares away from winning the grand prize. So I won some money. I won some money that night for sure, but if I'm being brutally honest, I can't just say I won money because, you know, you keep gambling when you're on these cruise ships, right? And they get back most of it, if not all of it, and then some. So that's kind of what happened to me. But it's all right. Had a great cruise regardless. Kimberly Lavelle is here once again. What's up, Kim? And let's see. And look at that. We got admin Tim says treat for Zoe. Look, you got Tim and Cheryl giving you another treat. High five for admin Tim and Cheryl. All right. And you know what? We're going to do one better for admin Tim because Tim and Cheryl are going on a cruise. We're going to get another shot going. And since it's been a long time, we'll go with old because it's been a long time, right? Since you guys did a cruise. So we'll go with the Old Forester for this one. And Tim and Cheryl, have a fabulous cruise. And thank you for the super chat. And Zoe thanks you for the treat. I haven't done Old Forester. I always like Old Forester. All right, so we got Tim. Tim, you are numbers 106 through 115. All right, so we're only 35 away now from getting to the drawing. And Cheryl, speak of Cheryl, there she is. What's going on, Cheryl? And I hope you have a wonderful cruise. Mandy says, had a great piano bar on the Mardi Gras in November with miso. Okay, so let's see. You said November, December, January, February, March. They're probably going to be gone, I'm guessing. It's probably going to be somebody different than miso. But maybe if they went on vacation and then came back, maybe they'll be fresh off of vacation or something. Will G is back cruising regular again. He's 4 days till the breeze. That's awesome, Will. Have a great cruise there. Kimberly's going to be on the Celebration February 1st. That's faster than I'll be on a cruise, so I'm jealous. Tony's going to be on the Venezia in 54 days. That's my lucky number, 54. Tim was asking me, it was 54 my number. Yeah, that's why you see 54 a lot with me, is because that was my college number and high school number. Is Carnival still sailing to Costa Maya? I believe it is. I know the Jubilee, at least the last itineraries I checked, still had Costa Maya. So, yeah, I do believe, but I could be wrong. Mike Clark, what I don't like about being on the Mardi Gras this time is there's over 1,400 platinum on the ship. So it was a refused early dining table for two. Wow. I mean, I like anytime dining, but yeah, if you like to have dining early, which I'd prefer early over late for sure. So I get that. Well, that's too bad. And we got James, that's only 33 days to the Carnival Sunshine. There we go. Carnival Cruise Addicts, 40 days until the Carnival Miracle, which I just got off of, and I had a great time on. And I'm going to talk more about that once I get talking. And it looks like I will be getting talking here. And we got Sean in the house. He says, hi, Coach, 60 days until we sail on the horizon. And everybody's talking about ships that I really, really like. So this is cool. Okay. Wanted to talk about the Miracle. Speaking of, Carnival Cruise Addicts just said they're going on the Miracle soon. And then we went from the Miracle to the Venezia. All right, so we went from a Spirit class to a Vista class. And then in March, we're going to go from a Vista class to an XL class and compare and contrast a little bit. Okay, so on the Miracle had a great itinerary, and it doesn't matter the size of the ship, what itinerary you do, right? It might be that way someday, though. You might get ships just so big that they just flat out can't visit certain ports, or they have to tender to them where other smaller ships might be able to pull up to the dock. But in this case, the Miracle, Venezia, both of these ships could go to any of these ports that I'm talking about. But the Miracle went to Grand Cayman, Cozumel, Roatan, and Belize. Now, that's one of the main reasons I picked that ship and that cruise, is I kind of wanted to do Spirit class, but that itinerary was amazing. Grand Cayman, the first port we went to, was just absolutely beautiful. Went to 7 Mile Beach, and I mean, it was sunny, it was nice, it was perfect. It might have been a teeny bit too hot, but I mean, nothing. I mean, it's just great. I shouldn't even have said that. Okay. Unfortunately, the rest of the cruise, it seemed like a storm system was following us, because we went to, I forget whether it was Roatan or Belize. I think it was Belize first. And we got off the ship, and I mean, got off the tender. And as soon as we got into port, it was raining. And the plan was to go to Caye Caulker and then, just hang out there, have some drinks at the sip and dip bar or the Wet Lizard or whatever by the split there, walk along, maybe order a lobster or some jerk chicken or something, and Caye Caulker. I keep saying Caye Caulker, but I'm told it's pronounced Caye Caulker, but it's spelled Caye, and I always keep calling it K. and I keep getting corrected. So I'm sorry for those people that wanted to correct me out there. Key Caulker. And anyway, I mean, I showed you the video for those of you that didn't see it. I mean, it was just pouring buckets of rain. And we waited around a little bit. And finally, we're like, you know what? Let's just take the water taxi. We'll get to Key Caulker, and hopefully the rain will have subsided by then, and we'll get to enjoy the day. Well, that worked out for the most part. We got to enjoy the day. We went to this place, you know, this little food truck, and had some really good jerk chicken along with some nice sides and everything. And that was good. And then we went down to the Wet Lizard, and we got a couple drinks, and we went in the water, and it was all good. Well, on our way back to the water taxi to head back to the ship, it just started raining buckets again, and we were absolutely drenched. So that part kind of sucked, but you know, we got to enjoy most of the day for the time that we had. So it was okay. So you can't blame the port for that, the weather that is. But we experienced some bad weather. So Belize wasn't as good as it could have been, but that was mostly because of the weather. Roatan, Little French Key. Many of you have been to Little French Key. It's a little slice of paradise, little family-owned island. It's well, it depends on the price, but you know, you can typically get there for about 70, 80 bucks per person. And I mean, they have like a little zoo there where there's, you know, jaguars and leopards and lions and pigs walking around and peacocks everywhere and little monkeys and all kinds of stuff that you can enjoy and see a bunch of critters walking around. And then just so much seating and lounge chairs and stuff like that. The water when the sun is out is just breathtaking. And, you know, they have horses that'll walk you through the water at an additional cost, along with some other things, you know, to make money off of. But really, really good experience. But again, the bad weather followed us there. So it was a little bit chilly. And, you know, the water was a little bit cold and it was a little bit rainy and all that. But we made the most of it. And the sun came out a little bit. You know, we did the high dive thing with the rope and then, you know, just jumped into the water and stuff. So we had a good time. And then finally we got to Cozumel. And Cozumel, the weather, you know, was pretty decent. I mean, it was a little bit rainy, but for the most part, we got to enjoy the water. We visited that adult establishment at the end of the Mr. Sancho's, that is. And that was a lot of fun. So we had a great time in Cozumel. Now, getting over to the Venezia, we did Celebration Key, and that was our one port that was really good weather-wise for the most part. The lagoon was super chilly, so all we did was really kind of get our feet wet in the lagoon. But the ocean, when we got to the ocean, it was warmer, and so we did get into the ocean, got to enjoy the ocean a little bit. But Celebration Key is really pretty. For those of you that haven't been, I think you'll like it. There's plenty of free seating available, so long as you don't get two big ships. Now, I will say this about Celebration Key. They're talking in the future about having 3 and possibly 4 ships there, I think they said. They're not going to be able to do that. They're just not. It's going to be too crowded because we went there and it was just the Celebration and the Venezia. And we went by the ocean, wasn't a lounger to be had. We went by the lagoon. There was not more than 1 or 2 loungers together spread out. And then finally we found, you know, a couple loungers and then a couple more. So we had 4, but it was late in the day when we found these. So I don't know how they're going to have more than 2 big ships. We've been there when there's been a small ship and a, you know, Vista class type ship. And then there was still plenty of loungers and stuff. But with a Celebration, an XL class ship and a Vista class ship, that was about as much as it could hold. Now, obviously they can get more loungers and put those along the ocean side, because in my opinion, they could fit a lot more right there. So that could, you know, open up some additional seating. But yeah, I don't know how they're going to accommodate more. All right, let me see if there's any questions. Yeah, Will G said we had bad weather there in November also. They won't start bringing the other ships until the water park is finished. Okay. Let's see. Cruise Life TV, maybe they will stagger the times that the ships are in port at Celebration Key. Yeah, you know what? Cruise Life TV, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. They could probably pull it off if they did it that way. Because one thing I did notice is, like, I mean, once you go into port, most people are so anxious to get off the ship, right? That there's just a big line of people just trying to get off as early as possible. And then you know what happens when you're in the sun for more than 4 or 5 hours. You get tired, it takes a beating on you, right? And then people start to like, okay, we've had enough, let's go back. And usually you're going to be in port for, at least 8 to 9 hours, right? So we took our time getting off the ship. We slept in, we had lunch, we did all that. And then we got off the ship. And about that time, a lot of people have been in port already for 4 or 5 hours. So it wasn't long before people started getting up and leaving, and we still got to enjoy several hours in Celebration Key, which was more than enough for us. And then we got back, and we were, some of the last people on the ship, but it's after we got to spend about 4 hours at Celebration Key, and that's plenty. I mean, we were happy with that. So that's a strategy that some of you might choose to employ in the future. But yeah, that's what we did there. Now we went back to Cozumel, and again, the weather. So we had this El Cielo booked. We didn't want to do an all inclusive because it was New Year's Eve that day, and so we booked El Cielo because we're like, okay, we won't drink as much. We'll do a couple snorkeling spots, and then we'll go to El Cielo, and we'll have a few drinks there, but we won't get sloshed or anything like that. Well, the waves were so rocky and everything that they actually closed the port to, small shipping vessels and everything. So if you had a water activity, you didn't have a water activity because it was canceled. But the good news is it was sunny. It was windy, but it was sunny out. So people that did, choose to go the all-inclusive route, they weren't disappointed. They got some sun, and they got to go on the beach and everything else like that and have a good time. So happy about that. Now we didn't have that booked, so we kind of just winged it. And Bridget had this tattoo. I had told her, she needed to get redone because it was all blurry and everything. You couldn't hardly tell what it even was. It's a unicorn. And so I said, hey, why don't I get you that touched up or whatever? So we found a little tattoo place, and they did a really good job of, retracing it and making it look cute and all that other stuff. So she was happy with it. I thought it looked a lot better. And so we spent a little time doing that. And then many of you have seen from my videos before, I have a friend down there named Meg. She used to be a teaching colleague of mine. And then she was one of the few people, always respect her for this, but you always hear people go on vacation. They say, I'd just love that. What if we just dropped everything and moved here and just, made a living here somehow? She was that person. Okay. Everybody's talked about it. You've probably talked about it, going on vacation. Like, I would love to live here and, I would just drop everything and move here if I could. She is that person who did that. So that's, always a cool story. And she loves scuba diving. So at first she had a license to be a dive instructor, but now she teaches the dive instructors. So she's like the instructor of the instructors. So she's like a dive master down in Cozumel. And, I usually meet up with her when we go down there. And so she had a bunch of stuff going on. She had a party that night. So we only hung out for a little while, but had a few drinks. And then we visited that club again, which some of you saw in the video, and had a good time with that. But yeah, that was all good. And finally, Roatan. We went to Roatan again. Roatan has been rainy 2 times around. Rainy Roatan. If it's rainy a third time, it's just going to get the permanent name Rainy Roatan, because the last 2 times we've gone, it's been rainy there. But we managed to have a nice little beach day because the weather was going to be cloudy and overcast and stuff. We decided to just stay there in the little man-made area on the beach. The original plan was to go to West Bay Beach, which is a beautiful public beach, but it's way on the other side of the island. And it's like, if it's going to be cloudy and everything and the sun's not hitting the water, then it's not as pretty. And then you got to go all the way to the other side. And we're like, you know what, let's just stay this way because who knows if the rain's going to be too bad. So that's what we did there. But port wise, I mean, if it would have been sunny and everything would have been nice, you'd have gone with the Miracles itinerary: Grand Cayman, Cozumel, Roatan, Belize. That was an 8-day cruise. The Venezia was a 7-day cruise. Celebration Key, Cozumel, Roatan, two of the same ports and of both ships there. But the ports again weren't the problem. Now, the Miracle versus Venezia. Um, First off, cruise directors. Frankie Portera, old school cruise director. Very good. Very good. And you get those old school cruise director vibes from him. You can tell he's a veteran cruise director. And I did an interview with him. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But really, really like Frankie. It's the first time I cruised with him. But, I got those first time cruising feels when I heard him doing his cruise director thing. Then for the Venezia, the opposite end of the spectrum, one of the newer cruise directors, Mike Diaria, and this is the second time I've cruised with Mike as a cruise director, third time at least, if not more, that I've cruised with him when he was like senior fun squad under Lee Mason. And he does a fabulous job too. Really super nice guy. I've already shared a couple videos, New Year's Eve, for example, he came over, he saw me on the side of the stage and, gave a few seconds and saying a happy new year and everything. And, always personable, which I think is so important for a cruise director to try to touch base with as many cruisers as possible. And he does really, really a great job of that. Saw him multiple times. He'd always stop over and we'd have a little chat or something like that. And he does that with so many, cruisers that, it's a really good thing, especially if it's a younger person. But even if it's not a younger person, I mean, everybody appreciates that. So really good cruise directors on both ships. The food, main dining room and stuff on both ships, couldn't remember anything really being bad. For the most part, everything was at least, kind of good to really good in most cases. So happy with the food. Now, deck parties and stuff. The Miracle had Rock and Glow, had White Night. Rock and Glow and White Night were both on the Lido deck, whereas the Venezia had the New Year's Eve party, which was fabulous. I just put that video out a few days ago. Rock and Glow, and I'll have that video out coming out later. But again, that's really good. They had White Night. Some of the shows on the Miracle we did, they had an 80s pop show or something by Playlist Productions. That's the first time I'd seen that show in a long, long time. It was really good. And then the Venezia had one of my favorite shows. It might be my second favorite Playlist production behind Celestial Strings, but that's Vintage Pop. Took Bridget to that, and she really enjoyed that. I knew she would. And Vintage Pop is where they dress up in like 1920s regalia, but then they sing modern songs, but do a 20s kind of twist to it to make it seem like it could have been sung in the 20s or something. So it's a really fun production if you haven't seen that one. But that's on the Venezia. It's also on the Horizon. It's probably on a couple other ships as well. And let's see. Oh, the Miracle. Yes. So the Miracle is one of the smaller ships in the fleet now, but what I wrote down in my notes here is large for its size. Okay. So if you go on a Spirit class ship, you might be thinking to yourself, like, I don't know, I heard it's like the smallest ship in the fleet. And, I want to do stuff and, have all this available to me. There really isn't a whole lot missing from the Spirit class. What I would say is what's missing is more specialty restaurant, more specialty dining options. It seems like the extra space on the bigger ships, a lot of it goes to like specialty dining, but other stuff, not so much. In fact, the Miracle, and I shared this when I put the video out and talked about it a little bit, but the Serenity area has a pool. It has a pool and a hot tub. Now the hot tub is like this, well, maybe it's this big. I mean, it's if you have like more than 4 people in there, and even if you have 4 people, it's not like you're going to have a lot of room to stretch out. It's like they picked the smallest hot tub they could find and they put it there. So like, you got to watch, if you want to get in that hot tub, you got to watch it like a hawk. And as soon as you see somebody get up, it's like, all right, run for it, and get in there. We did get to enjoy the hot tub once while we were there, but it's not very big. So you better be ready when there's an opening and jump on it. And then the pool is, small, but I mean, like I say, most Carnival cruise ships don't have a pool unless it's the XL class in the Serenity area. So that's a really nice thing. And then it's got a big bar right there. So the Serenity area is great for the small size ship. And then you have two other pools on a smaller ship. So the pools never seem to be too crowded. So again, the Spirit class, I would say, gets an advantage over the Vista class and larger ships because you don't have as many people fighting for pool space and stuff like that. So that works out really good. All right, now the casinos. One good thing about the Venezia compared to the Miracle or the Spirit class ship is there's a no smoking casino. And in the no smoking casino, they have a roulette table. They have, what is that? 3-card poker. And then there's another game, Hold'em or something like that. And then they have 2 different blackjack tables. So there are table games in there also, and there are a smaller number of slot machines, but most of people's favorites are in there. And then they have a much larger size regular casino that has smoking and stuff. So I would have to give the check mark to the Venezia just for the option of non-smoking or smoking. But the Miracle, for the size of this ship, has a very large casino, considering that it is a smaller ship. All right, I need to take a break, and then I'm going to read some comments. Okay, I've been rambling here. All right, so let's see. Oh, Ben. Okay, so Ben is checked in. What's going on, Ben? He was asking me about the Cubs the other day because we signed Alex Bregman, which is a nice signing for us. And my Raider fans out there, I know that Will G is a Raider fan. He's the only Raider fan I know besides me. But we are excited about our new quarterback, which is going to be Will Smith. Will Smith. It's going to be, I had Will in my head. Fernando Mendoza. That is going to be the Raiders' new quarterback, and you'll see him playing in the national championship game on Monday. Mandy says the Miracle is so good. Yes, it is. Trisha says sail what is going on. And then Brad H., he's got a countdown going, 257 days until the Liberty. Very cool. Carnival Cruise Addicts booked a helicopter ride over Grand Cayman for our cruise. Oh, very cool. And I'm wondering if that's part of your Echo thing. I'm kind of guessing it is. Carnival Cruise Addicts, because they're the fancy Echo people. They get a free excursion. They get one free excursion, I think. And I'm kind of guessing that that's the one that they picked. So, yeah, that would be awesome. And I would do exactly the same thing. So no judgment here. I would pick the coolest excursion for the most money and definitely do that. Where Carnival Cruise Addicts, you know what you got to do? Since you just said that helicopter thing, you guys have to do Alaska. And then the one I keep hearing everybody talk about, I've heard it from 2, if not 3 cruise directors now, where you get to ride on a dog sled, where they're actually pulling you on a dog sled over a glacier, right? I mean, how does it get better than that? You go to Alaska and you get to ride on a dog sled going over glaciers and stuff. I mean, I think that's everything right there. So you guys need to use that as your Echo excursion. I mean, I don't know how you could beat that one. Definitely. That's what I would do if I was you guys and I had Echo. Not cool enough to be Echo, but that's what I would do. Will G. They won't start bringing the other ships until the water park. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had read that part. Oh, okay. Bones. Yeah. So Bones, just message me. How do you order Coach Cruise merch? Well, you can win Coach Cruise merch with super chats, but if you don't want to try your luck, then you can order directly. The t-shirts like I'm wearing here now is And these come in, I have lime, I have black, I have pink. Oh, I do have a couple purples and small and medium. That's all I have left. And I have one yellow left in size XL. No, 2XL. No, two yellows left in 2XL. So other than that, the black, pink, the ocean blue, and lime are the main colors. So yeah, you can message me, and again, the $25 includes shipping and handling. If you get a 2X or a 3X, then it's 28, and that's because they charge me $2 to $3 extra per shirt. So yeah, there's that. Trisha said sale. I know there are plenty of free options, but dang, I love Pearl Cove. I need to start selling feed picks so I can get all the all inclusive. Too bad I don't know. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I gotta do Pearl Cove. I know Carnival Cruise Addicts did Pearl Cove and they liked it a lot. I don't really, I mean, when there's a free ocean, with free loungers, and the lagoon is free with free loungers, it's hard for me to justify paying, $100 a pop. And then you have to pay for drinks on top of that too. So yeah. Sean says, why was the lobster bisque off? Okay, so I'm used to getting the lobster bisque in the steakhouse, and the steakhouse lobster bisque is great. If you saw the picture of that lobster bisque on New Year's Eve, it was looked like tomato soup, and it did not taste like lobster bisque. The lobster bisque tastes really, in the steakhouse, tastes buttery, and I don't know, it's just good. I can't quite describe it, but it is super, super good. It's just really good. And that lobster bisque, whatever they were calling it, that they served at New Year's Eve, I don't know, maybe it's because they had to make it in such large quantities, but it was not the same lobster bisque, not even close. So yeah, it was off. JB says, that's what happened to us, coach. We visited Belize, fell in love with it, and bought land, working on the exit strategy. Yes. Okay, so you're referring to my friend Meg, and who knows? I mean, you know what? And JB, I'm glad you mentioned that again, because JB had said, I took that water taxi to Keycocker, and he's like, stay on it and go to this Ambergris Cay or whatever, and it's even better. So next time in Belize, I think that'll be the plan. And JB, do me a favor. If I start talking about an upcoming cruise and that I'm going to Belize, remind me again so I make sure that I don't forget to do that. All right, check this out. We got Greg and Michelle, and they could see and tell I was parched, I think. So let me write down here before I forget, CLTV. You are going to be numbers 116 through 130. And where is my glass? Let's see. We did the Evan Williams single barrel. We did the Old Forester. So how about we get out the Buffalo Trace here? Zoe, come here. Come here if you want another treat at least. All right. And this was good timing. So we are only 20 away. We are just 20 away. And we will be doing that drawing. So high five for Greg and Michelle. High five for Cruise Life TV. What do you say? Yes. Hearty thank you. A hearty thank you. And shot. Here we go. That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you, Greg and Michelle. Appreciate you both so much. Danny Dizzle, the Supermod 30. Welcome, Danny. As always. Oh, okay. I'm glad you mentioned this, Kimberly. Does the Miracle have the Red Frog Pub along with the Tiki Bar? Okay. So it has a Red Frog Pub. It has, yes, it has the Red Frog Pub and it has a Red Frog Bar. Red Frog Bar up on the Lido and Red Frog Pub down on deck 2 or 3. So it has that, yes. Now, I wanted to compare that to the Venezia. That was one of the things that I was going to get to. One of the things I do not like about the Venezia, well, and there's a couple things, but let's go up to that main central Lido deck area. On every Carnival ship almost, except for the Italian class themed ships, There is a Red Frog bar and a Blue Iguana bar, right? Except the XL class. And the XL, I think, messed up on this too. I don't know why they felt like Red Frog was more important. If you were going to do a two-tier, thing, why not have the Red Frog on the bottom and the blue on top? But they just did the whole thing Red Frog, right? The Venezia doesn't have either. It doesn't have either. It has this place called Rococo's. And I mean, you can get most of your drinks that you would normally get, say, at the Red Frog or Blue Iguana, I think, for the most part. Honestly, I didn't look at the menu too much, but my drinks tend to be like margaritas, Patron margaritas, or, rum and cokes or bourbon and cokes, stuff like that. I don't get too fancy. So I don't really look over the Rococo menu. I do know they have a lot of those slushy drink machines that they can serve frozen drinks a lot easier. But that's the only bar that they have up there. Now, across the way, normally you'd have two bars in that main Lido deck area. Across the way is a nice big Java Blue Cafe. And that Java Blue Cafe does business like no Java Blue I've seen, because the business is consistent all day long. But they're serving shakes, and they have multiple workers back there working that Java Blue Cafe. But that's a big strike against the Venezia, in my opinion. You need at least two bars in that central hub area. Now, in fairness, there is another bar up on deck 11. And, you can go there, but that's just kind of like a small little makeshift bar. And then they have like an auxiliary pop-up bar that they put in front of Java Blue Cafe sometimes. The other thing about the Venezia that's a little disappointing and is it's a confined area. So like on all your other Vista class ships, you have, it's spread out more, and you have so much more open space and deck space and things like that to enjoy deck parties and such. But on the Venezia, you don't. Like it's really confined, and these stores or these bars kind of like jut out and take up a bunch of the space that would normally be given to deck parties and such. Like the Red Frog, it's tucked in a corner. The Blue Iguana tucked in a corner on most of the Carnival ships, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, but it's there, and you can go and get drinks and stuff. That Rococo is like a big giant square taken up, and the Java Blue Cafe, a big giant square taken up. And then there's all this, tables and seatings under, that would normally be, like I said, like deck space by where the Guy's Burger. Speaking of, let me give a shout out to the Guy's Burger, because the Guy's Burger on the Italian ships is better because they have two different burgers that you can't get on other the other fleets, or the other Guy's Burgers throughout the rest of the fleet. That is the pepperoni burger and the super melty smoots. So if you are going on the Venezia, which I know a couple people mentioned they were, you got to try those two burgers. I prefer the super melty smoots, at least this time, but I think the time before I preferred the pepperoni burger. The pepperoni burger, for example, in addition to having pepperoni, has basically like a square, your mozzarella cheese sticks, fried mozzarella cheese sticks. It has like one of those, but a square. And then that's on top of a burger with pepperoni and some other stuff. Really good. So yeah, there's that. Will says the Spirit class spreads people out well, and I can't disagree with that. Voodoo show on the Mardi Gras last night was awesome. Yes. And I'm super excited to get back on the Mardi Gras. It's been a couple years. I'm super excited. I think one of my favorite shows is Love in Vegas. I was already telling my girlfriend Bridget about it, but Love in Vegas, Voodoo Moon. And Mike, let me know in the comments if they're showing Celestial Strings. And I know they show it on the Celebration, and I think the Jubilee as well. I'm wondering if they show it now on the Mardi Gras also. Trisha sets sail going on Mardi Gras in March. What's the Voodoo show? Voodoo Moon. Trisha, I can tell you if let me look in the comments, because he might have already told you. I know I'm behind. River Rick, when's your next group cruise? I don't really have a group cruise, River Rick, and thanks for the comment. But I do host bar crawls, so some people think that I'm doing group cruise because they see a big bunch of people in Coach Cruise shirts and stuff. But I will be on the Mardi Gras, I think March 21st. It set sail, or March 22nd. And then the cruises after that is the Horizon. I'm doing a back-to-back. We are doing a back-to-back, I should say, June 14th through the 28th. And then I'm going to make an announcement about another cruise coming up after that. All right. Texas Cruiser says, go Texans. Yeah, the Texans had a big win over the Steelers yesterday. I know some Steeler friends that were not happy about that. Will G is talking about the Raiders. Not me, I hope. He's talking about the Raiders because we fired Pete Carroll. And, we got Fernando Mendoza coming in as our quarterback. That hasn't been made official, but if it's not made official, I might not be a Raiders fan anymore. Brad. See, Brad, Brad thought the same thing. He's like, let's keep Coach Cruise. Don't fire me. Don't fire me. Oh, Cruise Life TV had the Alaskan helicopter to the dogs let it end up being canceled. Oh, that sucks so bad. But that's what happens in Alaska. The weather can be a little whatever. Eddie Droder, what's up, Coach? Nice to see you getting your girlfriend involved in your videos. You're cheesing in your videos differently now. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. And she is enjoying it, I think, and will continue to do as much. Bones says, put me in, Coach, and I will do that. All right. So Bones, thank you for that. You are numbers 131 through 135. So we are only one $15 super chat away from doing that drawing. By the way, because I see it right in front of me, I haven't put this up yet, but it's probably going to go right back here. Oh, I got to hide the comment so you can see. You see, I got a second police department patch. I gotta get it stuck in there on the little thing. But we have our friend Rod and Vicky, and then we just cruised, and Rod is a policeman in Pembroke Pines, Florida. And then we have Lewis, who's also living in Pembroke Pines, but he is a policeman in Sunrise, Florida. So he gave me his police patch. So I got two police patches back here now. We got Rod and we got Lewis. Thank them both. They are both great friends of the program and me. I've stayed at both of their houses. Great people. So look at that. We got two police patches. If anybody else is in, police or military or anything, then you have patches and you would like me to put them back here, I will. I still got a few spots here and there, and we can find a place for them. So, So, all right, let's keep going. Andy Simo, our friend from the UK, is coming with me on my Cunard Queen Elizabeth cruise, January 28th, out of Miami. Yes, I am, Andy. Send me my plane ticket and, give me the boarding information and my boarding documents. And yes, we will we'll try to make that happen. I would love that. That would be super awesome. But yeah, I love that idea, Andy. I like how you're thinking. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off, but and Zoe is welcome, and she's very happy for that. Okay. Cruising Chris Moss got us to our 150 here. So we're gonna do our drawing, and then I'm gonna make an announcement. So Cruising Chris Moss, 136 through 150, he might already be back at work. So let's see. We did Buffalo Trace, we did Old Forester, we did Evan Williams. So we only have two left up here that we haven't done. We have the Clark and Sheffield, and we have the Four Roses. Just because the Clark and Sheffield is almost a little more than half gone, and we need to start making room and get a new bottle, we'll go ahead and do the Clark and Sheffield. As a matter of fact, I think Cruising Chris Moss has mentioned that one before. He likes me to do this one, so we will do this one for Cruising Chris Moss. And Chris, if you are still here, thank you so much my friend Enzo. Would you like another treat? I think you would. And I'll do my treat first. Okay. All right. It's high five for Chris. Cruising Chris Moss. What do you say? She says thank you. And she is appreciative of that treat. She's been getting shorted on treats lately. Andy Simo says, oh, we got to do the drawing. But Andy Simo says, got my tea and badges. All right, there we go. All right, so look, you're going to hear some of the same names repeated a couple times, but it's all good. We got Chris Moss, 1 through 30, JB, 31 through 75. Chris Moss, again, 76 through 90. JB, again, 91 through 105. Admin Tim, 106 through 115. Cruise Life TV, 116 through 130. We have Bones, 131 through 135. And Cruising Chris Moss, 136 through 150. Now, you have the option of this cooler, which could probably hold easily 40 cans of your choice of beverage, along with snacks and some other food. And the material is pretty thick. A lot of people, I know, Admin Tim and Cheryl use these for groceries and such. It will hold a lot of groceries, especially if you got cold or hot items. You could put that in here. Okay, so you can choose to get that, or you can choose any one of my t-shirts in any size you desire. And then if you choose a t-shirt, you get 50 entries into the next drawing as well. And as soon as we do this drawing, I have an exciting announcement to say about the upcoming Super Chat drawings. Okay, as you see here, we got nothing on top. I read through all the numbers. Siri, give me a random number 1 through 150.
A random number between 1 and 150 is 98.
98, and guess who? We have our gambler and lucky gambler today. That is JB. He had numbers 91 through 105. So JB, you get your choice of cooler, shirt, whatever it is you want. And the announcement that I am making here is we're going to make it even easier. We are going back to 100 for the Super Chat drawings. Those coolers cost me more money, obviously, and they cost me a little more money to ship and stuff like that. So I had done the 150 thing. Then I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? For the extra money, whatever, it's not that significant that it needs to be 50. I'm just going to go back to 100. So you're going to get your choice of shirt or cooler or whatever merch I have that's available. You will get that going forward. And we're going back to 100. So it's no longer 150. We're going back to 100. So yeah, I think it was more fun that way because it was faster to get to do more drawings and stuff. So that is the announcement in concerning the Super Chat drawings going forward. But JB won our last 150 Super Chat drawings. So JB, if you want the cooler, whatever it is you want, just message me and I will get that sent out. All right, so congratulations and thank you again for all of the. Bone says, how do I message? Messenger, the Facebook Messenger, Brad Dowling, Dowling. You'll see a picture of me in the ocean water or something like that. But yeah, just message me. Let me know the size. If you want one of the old school shirts like this one, what color you want. And then, I have all of the, I do Venmo, I do Cash App, I do Zelle, I do PayPal, I do Apple Pay. I like all of them, so I can take any of those because so many people have all those different things. So to make it easy for everybody. Coach, did you and Bridget take some pics in the gondola? No, I didn't know you could do that. I kind of feel like we'd get in trouble if we actually jumped into the gondola. No, it didn't do that. I didn't know that was an option. I don't know if it's a legal option to do that, but I would have. I definitely would have. On the Venezia in the main dining room there, for those of you that haven't been, they have a huge real gondola. It stretches across the whole floor. I can't believe how big those things are. You see on TV the guy, steering people through the, on the gondola or whatever. The gondolas don't ever look that big, but in real life, they're really big. They're really big little ship. Danny Dizzle goes Chicago Bears. Yeah, that was an exciting game. Like I said, I'm a Raiders fan, but I have a lot of Bear fan friends, and I was excited for them. That was an exciting finish for sure. Woodford bourbon, Andy. Yes, I do like Woodford as well. But I don't have any of that on me right now. Mike says, Coach, I didn't see Celestial Streaks in the fun times. Okay, good to know. I would like to take that Bridget to see that show is the reason I asked, because she hasn't seen it. I've seen it probably 14 times, and I'd see it 14 more without hesitation. Trisha, I know there's going to be a lot of people from the YouTube cruise community going. Hope to meet a bunch of folks. But I'm not hanging out with my bestie. Yeah, that's cool. It's always fun to do that. Bone says, love the golf bag. Yeah, it's not quite a golf bag, but it is a decent size for sure. Yeah, congrats. Everybody's congratulating JB. Cruise Life TV says that bag rocks. And I have plenty more. So, yeah, like I said, anybody that hasn't won one yet. Speaking of merch, Bones asked about merch. If you want a cooler bag, if you don't want to try the win way, those are $40. My shirts are $25. The cooler is $40 because it cost me quite a bit more in comparison to a t-shirt. But I include the shipping with that as well. So it's a flat $40. You get the cooler. I cover the shipping, which is about $12, to ship. So it ends up being $28 that I get. So they don't cost me $28. I'm not just breaking even there. I got them at a better deal than that, but they're, like I said, everyone that's got one has been happy with the quality. So Danny Dizzle, sister-in-law, is a Chicago Bears fan. Cruise Life TV. Coach, you're good at getting in trouble. Yes, I am. So maybe I should have jumped in that gondola and taken some pictures. Oh, Brad H says I'm too old for these continual Crazy Bears comeback. I'll tell you what, I'm not a Bears fan, but I was nervous for my friends on that one. Yeah, they definitely lost some years of their life in those comebacks. And yeah, and Tim says he doesn't need your help, and referring to getting in trouble. Yeah, I do a pretty good job of that on my own. Look, I caught up on comments. Let me take a drink. I'm going to reward myself. We are running low on time. So, I wanted to talk about the cruise announcement that I have not made public yet. So, I'm canceling a cruise. I originally booked a cruise through UR Compt. Love those guys. They're great and everything. On the Margaritaville Islander, and it was supposed to be July 3rd through, I don't know, it was a 6-day cruise, July 3rd through the 10th. I don't know. Or maybe it was July 6th. I forget. But anyway, it was the beginning of July. Well, I canceled that because I got a much better offer to go with Carnival. Carnival is giving me a 8-day cruise, comped pretty much. I have to pay port fees and taxes. I'm going to be in the Havana area on the Carnival Panorama, and I think it leaves on July 4th. So, Independence Day, and it's an 8-day cruise doing, Cabo San Lucas, all the stops, Puerto Vallarta, Ensenada, I think. I don't know. It's a nice cruise. 8-day cruise in the Havana area. It's an interior, but I don't care. Drinks all over the ship. Can't pass that up, right? All right. So that cruise gets back July 12th. Now, July 12th, I have to fly from Long Beach to Seattle, and I'm going to meet up with Bridget, and we are going to go on the following day, July 13th, on the MSC Piosia for a 7-day Alaskan cruise. Now, here's where it gets crazy. And you all are going to think I'm insane for this, but I think we can do it. We get back July 20th in Seattle. Also, July 20th, the Carnival Luminosa leaves out of San Francisco on July 20th. We're going to get off the MSC Peosia, hightail it to the airport, get on like a 10 a.m. flight to 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. flight to San Francisco, get our bags, and head directly to the ship to get on the Carnival Luminosa for a 10-day cruise to Alaska. All right. And it was crazy cheap, under $1,000, with drinks for two all over the ship. Okay. So couldn't turn it down. So I'm going to end up being 17 straight days of Alaskan cruise from July 13th through the 30th. All right. So that is the Carnival Luminosa. So if anybody is doing the Carnival Luminosa July 20th through the 30th, we're going to hang out. Okay. So, or if anybody's thinking of doing Alaska, there is a 10-day cruise out of San Francisco, July 20th through the 30th. That's assuming that we make the flight and we get there on time and the ship doesn't take off without us. So I know I'm a gambler, right? I've already admitted that, I've been in the casino plenty. So we're rolling the dice on this one that we can get there in time and stuff. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a crazy day. You all saw my crazy Australia experience or whatever. Well, we're anteing back up. We're going crazy again, and we're going to try to make this work. So yeah, that is what the craziness is going on. Cruise Life TV says, wow, that's crazy. 2 cruises to Alaska. Brad says June 11th to 22nd, Alaska, fly then to Tampa for Islander. Okay, so you're kind of doing the opposite of what I was talking about. Will G says that is crazy. And yes, it is. Fly Seattle to Tampa. So I'm doing Seattle to San Francisco, a much shorter flight for me. But yeah, and Tricia set sail. Yeah, that's going to be wild. I'm going to be super nervous. Come July 20th, I am going to be freaking out. I'll definitely go to bed earlier than I normally would to make sure that we get up and then we are ready to be the first people off the ship. We'll definitely be carrying our bags off so we can get off as quickly as possible. And yeah, we're going to have everything with us and we're going to jet to that airport and get there, and we're going to make it work. We're going to figure out a way because it's a 10-day cruise. And again, under $1,000 for 2 people to cruise for 10 days. And they're including drinks all over. Like you have to try, right? You have to. So I'll probably buy the insurance for that one to make sure if something goes wrong that, we don't get burned by it or whatever. But, thank you, everybody. So many comments today. Thank you for all the super chats. We did do the drawing. JB is our last person that won for the 150 drawing. And now going forward again, we're going back to the 100. And no, we're not taking away the cooler. You can still win the cooler, and it's only going to be 100 and before we do the drawing. Mike Clark says, Coach, I stand corrected. Celestial Strings is on the Mardi Gras. All right, great way to end the show. That's great news to hear that, Mike. And so that means on the Mardi Gras, we'll be watching Celestial Strings. We'll be watching Love in Vegas. We'll be watching Voodoo Moon, for sure, those 3 shows, and probably a couple other shows that they have. So we're going to be busy on the Carnival Mardi Gras in March. Thanks for that information, Mike. Admin Tim says, awesome show at Coach Cruise. And I want to hear about Admin Tim's awesome cruise that he'll be going on starting later this week. So that is it, everybody. Andy says, good night. It's 2 a.m. in the UK. Yeah, get some sleep, Andy. You're up too late, but I appreciate it. Trisha set sail. Yes, Trisha, you need to see Celestial Strings and Voodoo Moon and Love in Vegas. Do not forget Love in Vegas. If you're going on the Mardi Gras, Love in Vegas. And here's another thing, Trisha, get there an hour early. Okay. Seriously. If the show starts at 7, get there at 6, get yourself a drink, sit down, just relax, whatever, be there an hour early because seating is limited on those XL class ships. You want to make sure you have a good seat, and it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah. Andy says, fair winds. Another thing Andy would always say is like heavy on the pour, heavy on the pour at the Alchemy Bar. So let's see. Good night, all. Cruise Life TV. Coach has memberships available. Yes, I do. So I got some couple little crazy behind the scenes videos too. Yes. And thanks for mentioning that, Cruise Life TV. All right, everybody. That is it. We are 5 minutes over time, almost 6 minutes. But thank you. There's 30 people here. If you haven't already hit that like button on the show, if you'll do that on your way out, so it'll populate it for more people that are watching it on the replay. And yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see y'all later. Appreciate you. Peace.